Hey, good evening, and welcome to week one, part number two on uh, discovering kind of how we came to be in American history. And as we start with, everyone loves a good story, especially if it's a story that has power, uh, wealth, love, murder, family, country, all of these things. And we find these themes in the establishment of a colony that is not too far from us and is one of the first places where England makes its way into North America, and that's Roanoke, North Carolina. Now known as Roanoke, which is near Nag's Head and Manteo, but back then will be known as the Lost Colony. And you have to understand that the reason that England felt a need to come to North America is because they were getting left behind. And if you wanted to be in global domination, if you want to be number one in the world, you had to colonize. You had to travel and explore. Spain had already done that in North America. They were located in places that we know today as Florida. You had the French that were already in North America in places that today we call Canada. The only group that wasn't there was England. And so they were kind of getting squeezed out. And so what starts to happen is England says, I need to get over there. We need to do something. And it happens during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. Queen Elizabeth I is known as the Virgin Queen. However, she was far from not using her charm and her good looks to get what she wanted. Now, Queen Elizabeth had a relationship, not intimate, but it was a flirtatious relationship with a man whose name was Sir Walter Raleigh. And Sir Walter Raleigh, he was a charmer also. And he was really good with words. Excuse me, so sorry. And he was very handsome, but he had a way of getting what he wanted. So Raleigh wanted power. He wanted fame. He wanted glory. Queen Elizabeth wanted England to have power, fame, glory. So they come together and they decide the best thing we need to do is establish a colonization, establish a colony in North America, and that will allow Walter Raleigh to go and explore the American coastline, and he winds up in Roanoke. Now, a couple of things deals with lost relationships. While they both wanted gold, glory, and power and fame, this relationship dissolves really quickly because they were very close to one another. And Queen Elizabeth thought that she could trust Sir Walter Raleigh. And even though they were not technically boyfriend, girlfriend, they didn't get married or any of that kind of thing, Queen Elizabeth thought that they were in an exclusive relationship. And she gets burned because right before Sir Walter Raleigh is heading out to explore this new area in North America, the Queen finds out that he's kind of messing around behind her back. And he's actually messing around with the Queen's servants, which is just a complete no-no. And Raleigh thought that he could kind of, smooth it over. And Queen Elizabeth actually has Walter Raleigh banned to house, like house punishment, house and confinement. But he uses his words and his charm and basically says, hey, we're in it together. Just let me go on over there and establish that. And so she does. And he goes to explore the coastline, and he lands in Roanoke, which at the day he thought was actually Virginia, but come to find out was what we now have today as North Carolina. So they will go and explore, and as they go to explore, they wind up in what will be known as the Lost Colony. And we can ask ourselves, well, why is it called the Lost Colony? And it's an interesting story because the first group of people go over there, and they're soldiers. They're dressed up in all this armor. They've got swords. Now, who's already in North Carolina? It's not North Carolina then, but you understand what I'm saying. Who's already here? It's the natives. So the natives have their life, they have their place of establishment. I mean, they're just kind of hanging out here, just doing life. And they look out into the water and they see these ships coming aboard. And as these ships pull in, these people with weapons and gear, and they look different and they talk different. And here they come into their home. And the natives are worried. The natives are uncertain. And already there's this animosity between the natives and these white colonists, because to the natives, they thought, you're coming to take our land. You're coming to, to take it from us using these weapons that we've never seen before. So we're already off to a rough start, if you will. But these individuals, these soldiers, kind of lay the groundwork. They clear the area. They set up some temporary housing. They kind of have it established so that group number 2 can come over. So in 1587, a group of 115 men and women make the long voyage over from England to what is now Roanoke. Now, as they're coming over, it's a long, difficult voyage. And while on the ship, some of these men and women, one of them being, the daughter of the governor, she's pregnant. And she is very, very pregnant, to the point that when they get to Roanoke in 1587, it's not long after that she has a child, and that child will be the first English child that is born in America, and her name is Virginia Dare. And just a little note, if you will, just thinking about names. Of course, they thought they were in Virginia, which is why they Virgin Queen, so that's why she got that name. And then in today's account, Dare, the county where Roanoke is today, Nags Head, things of that nature, is known as Dare County. So kind of pull all of that together. So these 115 men and women come over. They establish life. They're doing well. And, the governor says, hey, I'm going to go over to England. I'm going to get some supplies, and I'll be right back. I'll see you in a couple months. So he heads off to go to England to get supplies. And when he gets over to England to get the supplies, there's a war that starts between England and Spain. So guess what the governor can't find? A ship to take him back to his family, but to the people in Roanoke. He can't get a ride. And it takes 3 years for him to be able to get a ship to take him back to Roanoke. I mean, just imagine that, just first of all, what was going on. So he finally gets there 3 years later, and when they get off the boat, he notices it's quiet. And there's no sound. Nobody's there to meet him. I mean, it's like there's nobody there. And they start going to where the camp was, and they don't see a camp. They see no houses. It looks like nobody's ever lived there, and they see no people. There's nobody's around. So what happened to this group of people? Where did all of these 115 men and women go? That's why it's called the Lost Colony. We don't know. Now, there's a theory that says that the natives who were there when the governor left, they had a huge disagreement with the settlers that remained, and that the natives killed them all and just burned the whole place down. And it took 3 years, so everything was gone when they came back. But we don't know if that's 100% true. We know that the natives and the colonists didn't get along, but we don't know if that's true. There's another that says that it was a hurricane. Of course, North Carolina, the coast, is very susceptible to hurricanes. We see that every year, and some think a hurricane came into this area and just destroyed everything. It was a massive Category 5, and it wiped everything out, which is why there were no remains and no housing that was there. It looked like everything had just been destroyed. But there's one clue. But even that doesn't tell us all the story. And that one clue is that as they came back and started looking for these people, they found a clue that was on a tree. And on the tree was written the words CRO. And that later come to be Croatan. And Croatan was a Native American tribe that was in the area. It was a group of natives. And the Croatans had kind of moved kind of southeast down to what is now known as Hatteras, North Carolina. And they had established their relationship there, because one thing you will see as you move throughout this course is that the Native Americans, the different Native tribes, the Iroquois, the Chowatan, the Croatan, they didn't necessarily always get along. They fought. And so there's some belief that the natives in the area fought with each other. The Croatans hit town, they left, and they took these settlers with them. And the settlers established, several hours away, a new life, and they never connected once again. The reality is we don't know. We don't know what happened. But what I can share with you is that though we don't know what happened, we do know that all of this was because of lost relationships between the Queen and Raleigh, lost relationships between the natives and the colonies, lost relationships between England, Spain, and France. And it's just a reminder that even then, people could not trust one another. And we still see some of that today. And that's why it is always important that we are firm in our conversations, that we say what we mean and we mean what we say, but we always do it in a way that is that is respectful and not full of disrespect. I encourage you to do a little digging in and ask yourself, do some research, and you find out exactly what happened to the lost colony. Now, as we move forward today, let me just share with you just one more time kind of some assignments that you have due this particular week. And as we come into our time together, you will discover, hold on one second, sorry. Sorry, I got logged out of Moodle, but you will discover your assignments for this week. So you'll be taking a quiz. The quiz could be based on what we just discussed in this video, also based on your readings for this week. And please make sure you follow the guidelines and the directions for that quiz, and read ahead, listen ahead. Don't wait until you take the quiz and then think, oh, I'll just kind of do both at the same time. You will not have enough time to truly be able to do that comfortably. And then also you're going to have your discussion forum, which is looking at the aspects of history that some people necessarily do not talk about. So it should be a good week for you. I hope you enjoy it. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And I look forward to reviewing your work. Don't forget your deadlines. Stay proactive in developing a schedule. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.